Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I am working in the Stology 365, and I am using the black Tombow pen. It's N15, I believe. They have a numerical system for their colors. Fun fact, there's a dragonfly on these because Tombow sounds a lot like dragonfly in Japanese. Okay. So let's get to the topic at hand, and today I kind of wanted to talk about good art versus bad art, and I'm doing air quotes there for you because it's it's something that we need to talk about, how we view our art, how we view other artists' art. And it can be really difficult with preconceived notions, and I've touched on this a little bit before, on what we've grown up with and what was taught to us as good art, and how that becomes sort of a lifelong comparison to everything we go to do, and it becomes really hard mentally to sort of break up that idea. And let's see, where do I want to put this? I kind of want to put it over here. Yeah, I think that'll work. Break up that whole notion and relearn what we think of as good and bad. I think in this day and age, with the internet, with social networking, it's a double-edged sword on that being good and bad. I think it's a great way to get to know artists from all around the world doing really, really amazing things. And we can see more art, see more diverse of art, more inclusive art we wouldn't normally see that way. And in that respect, I think it's a great help. Can you sort of tell what I'm drawing already? I think that it can help us discover folks that we weren't taught about in school, other countries that maybe weren't touched upon, that should have a seat at the art table when discussing really great art. But the downside is it's more artists and more folks that we could possibly compare ourselves to. Now, you've heard that quote, comparison is the thief of joy. And I believe that with my whole heart. The second we start comparing our art to someone else's, we start to see differences, we start to see things we may find inadequate in ours, and all of a sudden, something that we feel really good about, proud about, we're no longer satisfied or happy. And that is detrimental to the progress. It's detrimental to creating. It can certainly bring about artist block and artist burnout if we're constantly looking at other people's art and comparing ours to theirs and going, well, theirs is good and mine really sucks. That's not, they didn't make that art for you to do that. That's not what it's about. They're doing art for their personal reasons, financially, for fun, hobby, whatever. It's something they enjoy. I know personally, I wouldn't want to think that my art would make someone feel bad about theirs. That would make me really, really sad. So when it comes to comparison, again, I look back in old sketchbooks, I look back at old illustrations and go, okay, is this improving? Is this getting better? Comparing myself to myself is pretty much the healthiest way I can think to do that. Now we have to retrain our brains and our minds when it comes to what we view as good art versus bad art. A lot of times there are so many new and interesting art styles and ways to combine and sort of create new formats and mediums and things that weren't really on the radar, 100 years ago, 50 years ago. And those are valid forms of art that are incredible, that take time, that take skill, that take eye, that take training. And sometimes they get dismissed online. And sometimes people leave negative comments, which that's never helpful for anyone. But that doesn't make their art bad. If it's a new style or a new method, it just makes it different. Different than yours, different than mine, different than what we maybe grew up with, what was explored, what was on our walls, what was taught at our schools, taught to us. You can probably tell what I'm drawing now, can't you? So retraining our brain of good and bad. Now, it's okay to have opinions. It's okay to have an opinion that no one else shares. It's okay to voice your opinion, to feel certain ways about your opinions. When it comes to tearing down other artists or giving them negative feedback, be really careful. Sit on your opinion for a good 24 hours and think, is this constructive enough to help them grow as an artist, adapt as an artist, move their art to the next level, if that's what you think the problem is. If it's just something that doesn't do any of that, maybe not share it. And maybe start to examine why you feel that way. When you look at your art and you think, oh, this is horrible, it sucks. Why do you think that? What is it about your art? You can create a Pinterest folder. Pinterest is free. A long time ago, it used to be by invite only. If you've been on Pinterest for over a decade. I think I've been on Pinterest, 12 years maybe. It used to be invite only, now it's free. Anybody can start an account. You can create a folder. Art you think is good. Art you like. It can be broken up by media. Like you could have oil paintings you love, or landscapes you love, or collages you enjoy, or art books, or whatever it is. And start figuring out, when you have a whole bunch of one thing in a folder like that, maybe I should do the ear, huh? You can start to pinpoint what it is about that you really enjoy. Is it the colors? Is it the composition? Is it the subject matter? And with, a dozen examples, you can really start to pull out what you think is good and what you really enjoy. Now with that, you can then apply some of that. If it's certain colors you really, really like, maybe it's muted greens or something, you can start learning how other artists incorporate that with complementary colors, with analogous colors, with how that works with their subject matter, and start applying that to your art in ways without stealing. Without stealing, that's an important thing to denote. And see if that starts to work. See if that elevates your art to a place where you like it, where you think it's good, where you think it works. Now, if it's just something where you've just taken up art and you're learning everything, I wouldn't even begin to say your art is bad. I would say you're a beginning artist and you're still learning, and this is what learning looks like. This is what progress looks like. This is what starting out looks like. It doesn't mean your art is bad. It doesn't mean that everybody else's is good. And again, when you look, this is another issue with social media. When you look on social media and you're like, wow, I love their art, you're not getting necessarily the full breadth and understanding of their journey, of how long they've worked. Sometimes people don't talk about their education. They don't talk about their families. Excuse me. I apologize. If they've grown up in an art house, if there's family members who have done art. So they may be classically untrained, but they've been doing art since they could walk. Like that, some of this stuff makes a difference. And some of this you will never know because people don't post and talk about it. It could be personal, it could be private, it could be something that they've already talked about in length. And You just haven't gone that far back in their feed. Sorry, I think I'm losing my voice a little bit. But how do you compare your art then? Okay, I think I'm getting my voice back. How do you compare your art? How do you view your art as bad when you don't know what has made their art good? And a lot of artists don't talk about that. They don't talk about how long they've been working on stuff. So me, personally, I have a Bachelor of Science degree in graphic design. I have that from a university. I've been drawing and painting since I could hold a pencil. As a teenager, I had my very first public art show. It was mostly acrylic paints. What else can I say about myself? I took years and years off after I had kids. I took all of 2020 off because we were figuring out homeschool and a bunch of stuff with that. Like, the pandemic was a lot to unpack. People's journeys aren't linear, and people's journeys, sometimes people don't even realize they're working on art or working towards creating art, even while they're not making it. I've worked in art galleries, I've worked at art supply stores, I've worked in like the art field, the art industry. I've seen some stuff. I've seen some stuff. Some stuff I can talk about, some stuff I can't, some stuff I don't want to talk about. Like, it's a whole situation. So you see me drawing on here and, turning out a leopard in 20 minutes or something with a single pen, and you think, okay, wow, that's a whole thing. But it's the years of practice that have led up to this. It's the building the confidence. It's the 600 YouTube videos that allow me to be more slapdash and have more, confidence in myself that this should hopefully go okay, even if, it kind of doesn't. It can be a lot for folks to unpack. So we're not getting the full story when it comes to creators and artists on the platforms, and we need to understand that. We need to understand that sometimes when we see an artist that we really, really like, they have a completely different setup and a completely different life. Like, I have 3 kids, so my art isn't really drastically improving. I can't dedicate 8 hours a day to the art. I just can't. I get somewhere like 3 hours is about the max I can get a day to dedicate towards art. And I don't always get that. And so sometimes I have to do these quick ones. And so if I were to compare myself to an artist that doesn't have kids, that has 8 hours a day to dedicate to art, that doesn't have another job they have to do, like how does that compare when I say, oh, they make good art, I make bad art? It doesn't work. It falls apart. So we need to understand that we're not getting the full story. We may see the end result. We may see the finished product online, but we're not getting anything else. We're not getting the full story of their art. So does that make their art good and our art bad when we look at it that way? And my thought process is no. We need to start self-reflection. Is really coming down. Can you hear the rain? Of why we think something is good or something is bad. If you're going through Instagram and you're just scrolling real quick and you've passed up a bunch of art, go back and take a second and spend at least 3 seconds looking at someone else's piece of art you wouldn't have normally given that kind of time to, and see what it is that does grab your eye and what doesn't. What you think is good and what you think is bad, and really start analyzing this within yourself. I'm gonna need, I have paper because I go right off the edge sometimes. Can you tell? Really start examining why we feel the way we do about certain types of art. Because there is skill in all art. Yes, collage may not be your medium, but I think you and I can both agree that the way some people put together images is just magic. It just is. I've tried collages over the years. I enjoy them. I'm not a big fan of the storage and the mess, but I know the skill when I see it. I know the hard work when I see it. I know a sharp X-Acto knife when I see it. So I think that we really need to self-evaluate what it is we think is good and what it is we think is bad and why we feel this way. Why we feel the need to feel this way. Why we think it's okay to feel this way. Boy, there's a lot of stuff on my desk. And we really need to look, and we really need to change the internal monologue and the internal script of good art, bad art. And if you have a piece of art that you don't like, homework assignment for those who choose to follow along with all this process and really want to engage your brain and start doing some of this new stuff to help yourself out and really level up your art. Find a piece of art that you've created that you don't care for. And I want you to sort of prop it up somewhere where you can see it all day for 3 days. At the end of 3 days, I want you to come up with 5 things you like about it. Now, it could be that you just tackled something hard. It could be you had the courage to try. It could be you haven't used orange in a while, so you're using orange, or you used an art supply you haven't used in a while. Come up with 5 things you like about it, because I guarantee you there are 5 things. And if you're having trouble finding 5 things you like about a piece of art that you think is bad, you can tag me. You can tag me anywhere that I'm on social networking, and I will help you pinpoint the 5 things that are great about that piece of art, because I guarantee you there are 5 things that are great. There are 5 things that work. We need to change our minds. We need to do that now. We need to stop being so hard on ourselves. It is taking our progress. And art is subjective. You think you don't like it? I'm guaranteeing you there are things you can glean from every piece of art you've created that have helped you, that have worked towards your large goals of just practicing, of having fun, of trying to start a career or a side hustle, whatever that is. There are things that you can pinpoint. So please feel free to tag me. You can even email me, pencilandpigment@gmail.com, and you can send me the image that you have created, the piece of art you've created, and I will email you back and we can talk about it. The things that make it a good piece of art, what works and why. I think this is important for how we view art, how we view the art we make, how we look at ourselves, how we look at the overall picture. And when we change our mindset of how we look at things, what we view as good versus bad, we are able to then pull out the pieces that work and apply them to the next piece. And in turn, that only makes our art better and better and better. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.